Hello and welcome to the Black Hat Bushcraft channel. I'm Matt. Today I wanted to take just a minute to talk to you about food to carry in your backpack. Obviously there's a lot of commercial options available, such as Mountain House meals and other dehydrated type meals, just add water type meals, and then there's MREs and things of that nature, and those are all good options. I've eaten a lot of Mountain House meals. I don't mind them. They actually taste pretty good to me depending on the particular meal. I've eaten a lot of MREs. Some of them are okay and some of them not so good. But over time, my mentality of the foods that I like to carry with me into the woods has kind of evolved. And so today I wanted to show you several things that I just pulled out of my pantry that I bought for camping or for day trips into the woods to carry with me to my camp. And just wanted to kind of show those things to you and kind of give you an idea of how I look for specific foods that I like to carry in my pack. So if you'll stick with me, we'll talk about some specific items right now. Okay, so one of the first things that I consider when I'm choosing food that I want to pack into my camp is stability. In other words, something that's shelf stable, something that's not going to go bad on me immediately. Let's say I'm going to go out to camp this weekend and I pack up some food with me, and when I get home I'm tired and I put my pack down and I leave that pack sitting there for a week, 2 weeks, and I don't unpack it, or I grab that pack and go out again. I want to know that that food's still going to be good, that I don't have to repack it, or that I haven't wasted that food, that it's something that I can use later. So first thing I always consider is shelf stable, things that are not going to go bad on me, and we'll talk about that in a minute. The other thing I like to think about is carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. So I always try to think about those things and make sure that I have a balance of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats to properly fuel my body. And I also think about calories. I want to make sure to have lots of calories, because obviously when you're in the woods, especially in the cold season, your body burns more calories just trying to keep warm. You burn more calories trying to process firewood, and just general camp tasks, building shelter, things like that, all require lots of energy. Obviously there's also a lot of hiking or walking involved. All of that requires energy. So I want to properly fuel my body. So I think about those three areas and try to cover those as best I can. Normally in my day-to-day life, I try to eat as healthy as possible, and some of my options for backpacking may not be things that I would choose in my daily grind, so to speak. So one other consideration is I like to carry foods with me that are very flexible and versatile. Simple things, like if you carry rice with you, you can cut up meat and put in and eat with that rice. You can eat that rice plain. You can season it with like beef bouillon or chicken bouillon or any spices. Recently did one where I seasoned it with curry powder. So rice is very versatile. There's a lot you can do with that. Oatmeal. I got a video here where I made oatmeal and spiced it up with some different things. Things like that are very versatile. Things like beef jerky are very versatile, because you can eat it just on the trail, or you can use it to prepare a more hearty meal like beef jerky and rice. So there's a lot of things that I carry are very flexible and able to be mixed together to create more hearty, more satisfying meals. Okay, so one of the other things that I really consider strongly when I'm choosing food that I want to pack into my camp is versatility. I want to carry foods that are very simple in nature, that are very flexible. In other words, things that can be used in a lot of different ways. I'll give you an example. One of the things that I almost always carry, and I just grabbed this big bag out of my pantry. I never carry a big bag like this with me. I shouldn't say never, but very rarely will I pack it this way, but I just wanted you to see. And I'll be honest, Jack LINLS isn't necessarily my favorite, but it's good. It was given to me as a Christmas gift. But I always will carry beef jerky with me, because you can eat it just like it is. It's ready to go right now. So if I'm hungry and I don't want to have to cook something, I just eat it. It's also great for protein. It is it does have a little strike against it because of the sodium, but at least you don't have to worry about seasoning with beef jerky, as it makes its own good seasoning. So beef jerky is very flexible. You can eat it like it is. You can cut it up very fine. You can powder it and put it into things like cornbread, and you can use it like I did with the curry beef video that I made recently. So beef jerky is just a very flexible item. Another item that I always carry, and this is something I picked up at a local store, is just a high energy trail mix. Trail mix is fantastic, because obviously you can eat it just like it is, and it gives you all kinds of calories, carbohydrates, proteins. So it really meets my criteria of something I want to pack. It's very stable. A bag like this can last for a long time in your pack. And you can also use it in other things. So maybe recently I did the oatmeal video, and I used cranberries and raisins out of a trail mix and mixed it into the oatmeal. And that was right out of my bag of trail mix, and I used it to make more of a breakfast recipe. So you could use, you could use this in a lot of different ways. There's chocolate chips in this particular one. You could take those out and drop them in your coffee for sweetener and flavor. I've done that, and it's delicious. So trail mix is also a very flexible thing that you can use. Let's see, what else do I have? For proteins, this is something I picked up at our local farmer's market recently. This is a chunk of pork side meat. Now, I don't usually eat pork side meat, but it is delicious when it's cooked right, and this is very stable. And this can be used in a lot of different ways. I can cut it up and fry it in a skillet just like it is. I can dice it up and use it as seasoning if I'm cooking beans. Something we'll talk about in a minute. But you can use this in a lot of different ways, and it gives you a lot of protein and a lot of fat and a lot of calories. This particular piece is basically a half a pound, and 2 ounces is almost 400 calories. So there's a lot of calories right here, and a lot of fat in this particular food. There's 40.5 grams of fat in 2 ounces. So that's a pretty substantial piece of meat. Is it the most healthy thing? No, but when you're in the woods, it's giving you those fats, some proteins that you need, and it's giving you lots of calories. Let's see, another meat that I carry that's shelf stable is country ham. Again, this is a sodium problem. There's a lot of sodium in this, but it makes fantastic seasoning. You can do so much with ham. You can cook it just like it is. You can use it for seasoning again. You can use, after you cooked it in the pan, you can make the red-eye gravy, pour that over some rice. Oh man, that's good stuff. So there's a lot of things that you can do with this. This 1 pack of ham is actually 5.3 ounces, $1. So you can buy this stuff really cheap if you shop for it, and you can keep something like this in your pack. This is actually good until August of 2017, so I could leave this in my pack for basically 8 months. I've had it for 2 months probably now, so 8-10 months this stuff is good. Something else I picked up recently, and I've used these before. These are really good, and I left it in the box so you can see. This is Hormel pepperoni, but it doesn't have to be refrigerated, and it's put together in small packs. And obviously you can throw several of these in your pack. It makes for good seasoning, and it gives you, again, fats and a little bit of protein as well. That has 5 grams of protein, so 10 grams of protein in this 1 pack. This came from a Dollar Tree store, so I paid $1 for that. But the nice thing about all of these, you can see, is they're suction wrapped in heavy plastic, and they go well in your pack. Okay, so moving on, this is just a little handmade muslin bag. I've got several of these that I hand sewn, just tied it up with some bank line, and I like these. They're kind of a traditional way of packing food in my backpack. And what I'll do is I'll pack what I need to make 1 meal in one of these bags. So this 1 bag would be what I would use for that 1 meal. And what I'll also do is I have a bag that I carry my bush pot in. And what I'll normally do is pack some of the things that I carry always in my bush pot, like seasonings and things like that. And that stuff just stays in there, so that no matter what I cook from these bags, I have the seasoning that I need for that. But just to show you inside the bag, and this was one that I packed on my last trip that I never got around to fixing. But this is just a Ziploc bag with more beef jerky. I always got to keep beef jerky in the pack. And this one is pearled barley. So this is just some barley, which I got from a farmer's market as well. And that stuff cooks up really nice. It's a healthy grain that you can eat. Cooks up kind of like rice. And so you can season it with beef jerky and then have that. And you can put some other seasonings in it, and that makes a meal. In the springtime, you can always add things like wild edibles, chickweed, things like that, just to put some greens in it. And of course, you could always use any other type of meat. So moving on, rice and grains like barley, rice, oatmeal, those are types of things that I will always pack. I just brought the whole canister out of the house. I would never carry this, obviously, in my pack. Normally what I do is put it in a in a Ziploc bag and pack it in one of these little bags. Or sometimes I'll actually pack stuff in brown paper lunch bags like that. Just a little bit more, I guess, traditional way of carrying things. Some of the other things like that I carry, this one is Golden Harvest soup, and it's actually got black-eyed peas, yellow split peas, brown rice, pearl barley, garbanzo beans, red lentils, wheat berries, all kinds of stuff like that. So you can cook this up, and this gives you a really hearty soup or stew. Throw in some beef jerky or a piece of that ham meat, and you have a substantial meal that will feed more than one person. So things like that, it's lightweight, and the only thing you need really to cook it is water. Here's another one. One of my favorites is lentils. And the reason I like lentils is because they have a lot of nutrition, a lot of protein and calories in them, so they're very healthy, and they cook up fast. So if you go and you grab hold of a big bag of pinto beans, it takes a long time to cook those over a fire unless you soak them overnight. But lentils don't take that long because they're such a small, thin, legume is technically what they are, not beans, but legume. And they actually, I may be saying that wrong, legume, I can't remember. But anyway, you get the point. These cook up really nice, and they cook up fast, and they give you lots of nutrition. And even this pack right here is actually 0.49 of a pound. I wouldn't even cook all that at one time for myself. I'd probably split that in half, and that'd be plenty. But again, it's very easy to season that with the things that I've already shown you. And even if you didn't have seasoning, these things are edible like they are. I always carry rice. So, and this is another way that I'll carry things sometimes, just for simplicity, is these little tins. These things really don't cost much at all. Just order them offline. And in here I have some jasmine rice. This is leftover from when I made curry beef last time. So those things make very nice single serving. In other words, I cook all of this in this for one serving usually. Another tin that I'll use sometimes is these ones here, which make great char tins. But I'll use this sometimes and carry coffee, like coffee grounds in it, or sugar or whatever. Maybe if I'm going to use powdered milk or something, I can pack it in this. Let's see, what else? Here's a couple of really good items that are very versatile. So both of these are Martha White, yellow corn muffin mix, and then cotton country cornbread mix. So I normally don't pack these, and if I'm going to carry this, I'll open this up, and within the box there's another bag like this. So I'll just get rid of that box, and then I'll take this bag and pack it in something like this, and then I have that cornbread mix with me. Normally I won't carry plastic like this into the field. I normally will empty this out, and then that way I'm not leaving trash in the woods and stuff, because I don't want to pack all that stuff out. So I'll carry it in something like I showed you, that I'll keep in my pack anyway. Let's see, what else? One of the other things I always like to carry because of its versatility is honey. And this is raw, unfiltered honey from a local dealer. This is some other honey. This one's crystallized just a little bit. You need to soak it in some warm water and kind of get it to loosen back up. But this is a airplane style Jägermeister bottle. Makes a fantastic bottle for honey, vegetable oil, whatever. So I utilize bottles like that. Some more bottles that I use are Cracker Barrel. This is some molasses, but you can use the little syrup bottles from Cracker Barrel. The only downside is it's glass, so it's a little bit heavy. Cracker Barrel also has maple syrup in these little bottles, and they're great for carrying olive oil or whatever you want to carry. Maple syrup, obviously, honey, things like that, and they're free, so I collect those when we go. I use little canisters like this. So this is actually coffee grounds. There's enough coffee in here to make a pot normally, so I'll just carry this and make a big pot of coffee and enjoy that over the night, through the day and over the night. I do cheat sometimes, and I use this particular brand of coffee. This is Taster's Choice Hazelnut. It's delicious for instant coffee. Normally instant coffee is not that great. This one is really good, so I do use that. And I won't carry the whole box. I'll just carry single serves like this, and I'll carry maybe 5 or 6 of those in my pack. Another thing that I'll always carry, so right here is powdered milk, so I'll just use sometimes these little plastic containers. I try not to use these, but sometimes it's just convenient. And also, I carry my little seasonings, such as seasoning salt, garlic powder, cinnamon, things that I'm going to use in particular recipes, and I'll just carry them in these are actually made by Nalgene, and so I'll carry those with spices, and I'll just let that ride in my bush pot. Also, one of the other things I try to keep in my bush pot is a pack of bouillon. This is beef bouillon, and it works great to season things like rice or grains or beans when you don't have meat. And you can also make broth. If you're cold, heat up some broth and sip that, and that's good, instead of just drinking water, or if you don't have coffee. And sometimes I'll actually, as I showed you, I'll go through the trouble of wrapping things up, and I just use these little brown paper bags. Kind of got a little bit of a traditional look to it, and I'll just tie it up with jute rope like this, and when I'm in the field, the jute rope now becomes tinder if I need it, or for another purpose that I need cordage. A brown paper bag makes a good fire starter. And just to show you, like in this particular bag, I've got lots of packets of sugar in the raw, and I'll carry that for sweetening coffee or just adding a little sweetness to a particular dish, oatmeal, things like that. So sometimes when I'm packing my stuff up, I'll take the time to wrap it up in these bags. And that's just an extra layer of protection, so that way, you know, if it stays in my pack for a period of time, it's just wrapped up a little bit better. And it just kind of looks neat when you pull out your food out of your pack. I'd rather see brown paper than this. Not that it matters again, but just in the sense of keeping my kit authentic. Sometimes I'll do that. Okay, so hopefully that's giving you an idea as to what my mentality is when I'm going to pack food into my camp. So some of the key points are, I try to look for foods that are very shelf stable as much as possible. I try to look for foods that are varied as far as carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. I want to make sure that I cover all of my bases for proper energy, keeping my body fueled. I want to make sure I'm carrying foods that are very flexible, things that can be used in a lot of different ways, things that can be mixed together to create different dishes. And I like to keep it simple as much as possible. Normally 1 to 2, 3 ingredients, seasoning, that's good for me. I also like to make sure that I carry a wide range of foods, such as granola bars or trail mix is ready to eat right now. Beef jerky is ready to eat right now. So if I'm really hungry and I just need something right then, I can eat those things. But then I also have things that are very time consuming to prepare, such as dry beans, rice, dishes with rice in it and stuff like that. You have to, get a fire going. You have to boil water. You have to let it cook over a period of time. And I really like having those types of things, because when you spent the day in the woods, you spend time making fire. It's nice to sit there, enjoy cooking for a while, and then have the reward of, a nice hearty meal at the end of the day. So I like having those foods that take a lot more energy to cook. It's just fun for me to do that kind of camp cooking. So I like to have things that are immediately edible up to things that take quite a period of time to cook. So that's really my criteria. I try to stay with things that are pretty natural, just simple things, in other words. So I'm sure there's a lot of other foods that I could have mentioned, things that I do use. This just happens to be what I had in my pantry, and already a couple of things that were in my pack today. But it just gives you a little bit more of an insight as to how I pick food that I like to use for camping and for backpacking. So I just thought I would share these ideas with you. Hope that it will help you in some way. I always appreciate your interest. I appreciate you taking the time to tune in to the Black Cat Bushcraft channel. If you haven't subscribed already, I hope that you will, and that you'll come back and join me often. I look forward to talking to you again very soon, and until that time, take care and God bless.